Yeah, if you look at the markets, just as we're rounding off, we're going on break. The total transactions via the I&E window, what you call the investors and exporters window of the FMDQ in terms of effects, that market surged significantly on Monday, nearly 500%. The total figure was 606.2 million US dollars. And that tells you that investors are taking their money into the market. There's an active trading at the FX window because that gives you the opportunity to take your currency, your transactions out of the country. Those trades were done within the 355 to 363.5 naira to the dollar at the I&E window. You just want to drop that there for you. And of course, remember, Thursday is the repair, so we expect a bit of a liquidity in the markets today. But first, let's get on Aisha Sani, who is one of the economists and research investment analysts at Financial Derivatives, to take us through the commodities market. We're all back. A lot of rams buying. Well, of course, a few folks complained that the cost of ram was high, so they couldn't buy them for the last holiday. So one of the things that goes with preparing a ram is to have some tomato and some salt, whatever it is. I have an idea how to make a soup, just in case you think I'm out of touch of how to cook or be in the kitchen. I can do a few things there. Aisha is here. I'm sure she has a lot more skills than myself when it comes to that, isn't it? You can do some cooking. Yes, more than I do. But I don't want to go into any cooking contest with you. I know. I'm not too sure how you beat me to that. But let's talk about the burning economic issues. Quite a lot of this from the macroeconomic space, whether it's external debt or the capital importation or the price of Brent crude. What are the headlines that you think consumers should start focusing on so everybody gets back to business?
So we have a few headlines. We have the oil price that has recently dipped after its week-long rally. We have the NNPC collocation of refineries. Also, we have the capital importation that has dropped in Q2, and we have the external debt service has decreased in Q2 2018 as well.
This is a very interesting story, and I found the external debt service cost down because sometimes good news get trampled by the negatives, isn't it?
It's true.
Yeah, it's true really because if we reduce our external debt service by up down to 10.15%, that's good news.
Yes, it is good news, and when we look at external debt service in total, we've seen that it came down from about $225 million to $202 million, which is very good for us. But when we break it down and we look at the principal debt service, we see that the bilateral principal debt is what came down, which is what really contributed to this 10.15% decrease in our debts. And in Q1, we repaid about 34 million to Exim Bank of China. That was our bilateral principal debt repayments. However, in Q2, we paid only 10 million, which is why our debt service has gone down this much. And it's good news in the fact that our debt service has decreased.
Yes.
However,
we have oil prices in our favor.
Yes, we do. But
yes.
The maturity of it could have been just because the maturity of certain debts hasn't yet fallen due.
Okay.
So we might see an increase in the coming quarters in our debt service.
But then in terms of capital importation story, that's one negative news that seemed to be eroded or get carried away in the euphoria of all of you going on public holidays.
Yeah, we just forgot about that.
Yes.
And when we look at capital importation, it's mostly due to the fact that portfolio investments are decreasing. It seems like it's because of uncertainty around this election period. People aren't very sure about what's to come, and therefore they're saving them and keeping their money with themselves instead of investing it with the government.
You think investors are lounging around a little bit, looking and say, when the folks are ready, we'll talk to them.
Well, let's see what happens.
Let's see what happens. But if we come down a little bit more to what really goes down in terms of commodities, whether it is power, what goes into the production value chain.
Oh, in power.
Electricity, yes.
Electricity. We're looking at production, looking at like the grid and the gas supply to various power plants that helps them produce power. So looking at water, which is what these power plants need to produce. And on a positive note, there's been no water constraint for quite a few days, which could possibly be due to rainfall. However, we're still seeing low power supply around 3,400 megawatts, which is
but output is still down despite a bit of a steady rainfall,
yes.
Flooding in a few number of states, and so that's still an issue there. That's one bad news.
Yes, that's considered bad news.
Yes, but let's move on in terms of where consumers are right now in terms of market prices, and folks want to after everyone's in terms of your inventories, if you use palm oil or whatever during the holiday, your level of semovita in the kitchen has gone down a little bit more, so you have to restock. Is it natural that prices, everyone will be back at the marketplace today trying to stock up all over again?
It's natural, and that's just the way people, after
that's the consumer behavior.
Yes. After a huge period of buying and cooking and using your resources, it's time to restock and to replenish your supply around this time. And the good news for Nigerian consumers is that domestic prices have remained flat despite the recent harvest period.
That's what I'm seeing on the TV. That's what I'm seeing on the screen.
Yeah.
Palm oil, semovita, old yam. A new yam is in town, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
But
prices still remain largely. Some folks were on Twitter over the last few days. A bit of a Twitter fight over what's the price of Gary, whether that has remained stable over a period of time. We're fighting over on the social media about the price of Gary. So let's just roll that over, guys, and let's tell us about the price of Gary in your area. If that prices remain flat.
Yeah, most prices have stayed flat, and you might see a change in prices as the signaling from the harvest kicks into the markets. But for now, we're seeing that prices are staying relatively stable.